Okay, so here's the instructions for making the bags. So first of all, you get 2 rectangular pieces of fabric. These ones are 13 inches by 10. It's all inches because that's what my American rulers are. So you put them together, right sides together, and sew a 1/2 inch seam or whatever seam you want to do. And then you press them so the seams are going to one side. I do it facing the same way. To do the corners, basically you've got the square corner, you don't need to cut the corner off. And this is where you do much finger licking. And this is a bit that I can't explain, but you just have to see. So basically I've taken the bottom like that and then put the 2 seams together. So you've got the side seam, lick, 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 lick. You've got the side seam and the bottom seam, and you can feel where the seams are. So then you have the 2 seams together along there. So you should have both seams. So if you put a pin right through it, it'll go through into the other side. So that's pretty much, so you've got a triangle here, and the seams are going to one side. So you lay that down flat, and then this is my nice little sewing ruler. So basically the base is going to be 2 inches, so it's 1 inch each side. So you can see I've got the center down the seam. It's going exactly down the seam, and then I've got 1 inch each way. So you can do 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters. Should work out about the same. And then you'll find that if you can draw a really good line, it's even better. So then you have a line there, and then you have 1 inch. So that's there's 1 inch there and 1 inch each side. So then you have a triangle, and you sew across that seam. And you do the same on the other side, making sure you fold the seam the same way. So it's, sometimes I've done it like that, and it kind of makes a bump in the bottom. So make sure your seams both go the same way. And just like on Blue Peter, I have one I've done earlier, and this is how it ends up. So you have two bases across there, and you just fold them over into the inside, and you have a base. You turn it inside out, and you have a nice looking corner. So you have that seam there, that's the bit you just sewed across, and then you have the side seam, and then you have the bottom seam. You've done the 2 bags, and they should both have corners like that. The outside bag that you're making, which in this case is this really nifty one with bicycles, because this is for Zoe's birthday, hence it's blue, hence it has bicycles. Where you're going to put the seam for the ribbon, so you can pull it, so you can thread the ribbon through. What I've found is if you cut away the seam, it's going to make it much easier to put the ribbon through. And also I unpick a couple stitches on the outside, only on the outside one, not on the inside one, because you're not going to put the ribbon's not going to go on the inside, it's just going to come back out the outside. So that slot is on this one. This is quite a long bag because the present I'm putting in is quite big. So it's 3 to 3.5 inches from the top. Smaller bags, I've done it 2 inches from the top, because you're going to have a 1/2 inch seam along the top. So you have your 2 bags. This is going to be the outside one, and this is going to be the inside one. It doesn't really matter which way you do. And so you're going to have right sides to right sides. So you stuff that one inside there, and you match the seams up. So you match the side seams to the side seams, and then you pin it all the way around. And then once it's pinned, you're going to sew that top seam 1/2 inch or whatever you're going to do all the way around, leaving a gap of about 2 inches. And then you're going to put your fingers into that hole that you've left, and you're going to pull the whole bag through. And I'll show you that in the next step. I've got the bag sewn. You can see it's sewn all the way around, about 1/2 inch or whatever your seam allowance is from the top. And I've left a gap here, it's about 5 or 6 centimeters. You can make it bigger, but then you have more to hand sew. So this is how you get them in, this is how you get the bag done. You put your fingers inside there, and as far down as you can reach, and you just pull the bag through. And you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and eventually you'll have the whole bag inside outed. The bigger you make that, you leave that gap, the easier it is. And there you go. So you have the two bags like that with just that little gap. And I usually like to make sure I've got all the corners. And then when you've got that, you just flip the inside one, whichever one you want to be inside the outside one. Push the corners down, and there we go. So you just need to press that top down so it goes around there, and then you sew up. You just hand stitch the stitches there. So when you've done that, you can see I left the undid some stitches where I'm going to put the ribbon. So this is that gap down. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my sewing machine and sew two seams to make a channel, which I'm going to put the ribbon through. So that's going to be my next step. Okay, so I've done the channel, so you can see the channel. Well, you can't see it that well because the thread's really good. You can see the channel. It's a ½ inch or about 1 and a bit centimeters. And then the ribbon, if you've done it really well, you've got a little seam unpicked there, and you should have barely any seam inside. So what you need to do is put a safety pin on and thread it through. So basically, you start here and you thread all the way around, and then you go another halfway down round, and then you pull the ribbon out. You come out and then back in, so that you have the loop on the second time round, and then you go back around to the beginning. So you should have two tail ends, and if you do that, that should mean that if you pull it properly, it should drawstring, and that's you all set. If you don't want to do the ribbon and the channel, you can just wrap some ribbon around, and then you just have a bag. That is Zoe's birthday bag.